Hello, and welcome to episode 5. It's the calm before the storm, the peace before the chaos, the quiet before the noise. And what noise is that? It's the noise of 20 V4s, 2 inline 4s, 24 burning tyres, thousands of screaming fans, and one podcast. It's the Big Bad Bike Show, and I'm your host, Sam Macaulay, and I'm joined with the Up North biker, Ash Ho.
Hello there.
And keeping us informed with news that's only 1 week out of date, it's Chris Chippy Ballard.
Hello.
Hello guys, how you doing?
Not so bad, not so bad.
It's funny doing a pretend intro and talking to each other like we've not been talking to each other already for the last 20 minutes setting this up. But hey, how you doing?
Technical issues.
Well, there's always technical issues, let's be honest. Anybody that's listening to our podcast, thanks very much. You can hit the like button on YouTube, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you will never miss an episode. So, how's it going then? I'm not going to go through feedbacks. We don't have any. Nobody's been emailing us.
No, nobody's been emailing.
Nobody's been saying anything to us whatsoever. So, yeah, I will address it. I have been told through Ash, the feedback he's been getting, that I swear too much. But there's nothing I can do about that. Well, there is. I can stop.
Well,
swearing.
there is.
Yeah. But it really just slips out. That's the way I try my best not to swear, but it just slips out when I get excited, or when I get angry, or when I get hungry, or when I wake up in the morning, or when I'm going to bed. Just any time during the day, I can just throw out an F-bomb. No C-bombs yet. None of them's come out, so listeners can be thankful for that.
Talking to you today, though, genuinely, I thought you'd maybe started the menopause, man. Like, seriously. You're just so angry. Are you angry because you bought a laptop with no USB ports? Is that what made you angry?
I'm generally just angry all the time. You know that.
Yeah, but today you're just extra angry.
No, I'm just always angry, mate. That's it. I'm like the Incredible Hulk. I'm just always angry. Everything makes me angry. Every slightest little thing. I'm from a family of nasties. That's true. That's like their nicknames were the nasties. Yeah, so we've not had any official feedback. Nobody sent us an email giving us any yes, no's, good, bads. But if you would like to get in contact with us and drop us an email, you can do at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. You can leave your name. We can read you out in the show. You can also follow us on Twitter. It's the Big Bad BS. It's all one word. If you search it on there, you'll find it. And also you can leave a comment on YouTube. And there may be, I'm not entirely sure, but there may be a way of contacting us through Spotify or Apple Podcast. We're on there too. I don't know, I've never tried it. But if you know of a way, feel free to get in touch. So what you guys been up to this week since we last spoke on the pod?
Well, Chippy had his anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Chippy.
Well, actually, it's technically tomorrow.
Happy
we had
anniversary.
our anniversary dinner last night. But yeah, the anniversary is actually tomorrow. Went out for dinner.
And how?
Quite nice.
How
bit of salmon.
How did that go?
It was all good. Nicola saw somebody there, and she said hello, and I was like, oh God, I hope I don't see anybody I know. And as I said that, my boss turned around on the next table and was like, hey Chris, how are you? Like, oh God.
Yeah, you don't like meeting people, do you?
No, I'm the least sociable person ever.
And you can tell how you can tell the relationship you have with somebody by the fact that they're calling you Chris. That means that you don't like them, and they don't like you.
Yeah, they don't really know me.
Yeah.
I bet you were all polite, though, even though you were thinking, shut up. I bet you were like, oh, hello, how are you? Yeah, nice to see you. I know you nice too well. Know you too pretty well.
Well, I mentioned it a few weeks ago that I'd put a hole in my kitchen door. And I alluded that it was maybe because of the podcast, but it wasn't. It was because of a big fucking giant on Elden Ring called the Fire Giant, which was pissing me off. Yes, to anybody that's listening out there, I am a nerd, and I took me ages, but after 5 weeks, I eventually beat it. That's my news this week. I beat the Fire Giant in Elden Ring, and I immediately just ran into another boss. But anyway. I'm so pleased.
This is why I don't want to play it, though. Because it just sounds too hard.
It's really hard. Yeah, I've never played a game like this before. But it's really hard. But really good as well. That's about all the news I have. Apart from that, I've just been working, guys. That's it. Just working and coming home and waiting for the weather to get better to go out on my bike. It's really nice today, actually. Good day. I'm in shorts, so I've just been nerding out all week. Like I said, it's a good day today. I'm in my shorts. I could have went out on my bike, but you maybe don't know because you don't know when we're recording, but it's Mother's Day. That's a point, Chippy. Your wedding anniversary, if you have kids, your wedding anniversary and Mother's Day is going to be at the same time.
Well, it's not wedding anniversary. It's just the anniversary of when we got together. Oh, 5 years.
Oh, well, that one doesn't.
Oh, I thought, it wouldn't have been his wedding because that was only in August.
Proper anniversary.
Yeah, that one doesn't count. That's not a real anniversary.
But I did get her a card from the dog.
That's just the anniversary. That's just an anniversary you make up when you've not had sex for a while. You think, I'll do that. Maybe get some. I nerded out a little bit this week with Elden Ring, but I wasn't anywhere near as big a nerd as what you were. Do you want to tell the listeners what you got up to yesterday?
Absolutely, yeah. So, Sam said he's a bit of a nerd, but nobody nerded out as much as me. I went to Comic-Con in Edinburgh, which was... not in Edinburgh, fucking idiot. In Aberdeen. And, just turned into a massive fanboy because a load of the cast of The Walking Dead were going. And this is really, really how nerdy it is. One of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was there. So I had to meet him as well. All in all, I met Walter Jones, the Black Power Ranger. I met Chandler Riggs, who plays Carl in Walking Dead. Tom Payne, who plays Jesus in Walking Dead. Seth Gillum, and he plays Gabriel. And I also met Tommy Flanagan. Tommy Flanagan was class as well. He was
who's in Sons of Anarchy. He's in Sons of Anarchy, and you didn't even get him to push the podcast or anything. You didn't say to him, "Hey, mate, can we take a video and get you to push the podcast?" No, Sons of Anarchy.
You weren't allowed to. You had to pay you can only pay for certain things.
Come on, you got to use your initiative here. Take him round the corner and suck your stick or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Tommy would have loved that.
Just silence there because it's like, what do we say to that?
No, he was a really cool guy. They were all dead sound, and met Nolan North as well, which I was discussing with you earlier. He was a really cool guy. And my son, he was just so happy because he got to speak to Nolan North. Chippy, he takes the piss saying, "Oh, you're a massive nerd," but he came to Comic-Con in Edinburgh and he got 2 signatures from 2 of the characters out of Red Dead Redemption 2, so you can't say nothing, Chippy.
Yeah, but I didn't understand anything else that was there. I didn't understand Star Wars or anything. If them 2 hadn't have been there, I wouldn't have had a clue who anybody was, apart from Matilda.
Did you enjoy Comic-Con?
It was alright.
No,
it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Alright.
But I didn't understand most of it.
Getting away from the nerdiness, because we could just go down a rabbit hole, because we are all nerds, let's be honest. Chip, you made a couple of bets this week, didn't you? When this is tying it more into a motorbike podcast, because that's what we are at the end of the day.
Yes.
How are they looking now? Because, well, let's just tell the listeners what the bets you made and why, what it was.
Well, there was last week. To be honest, nobody probably heard it because they all got bored and switched off. But at the end of last week's podcast, me and Ash made a bet of if Anna Carrasco scores 1 point this season, I will do my CBT and get a bike. If she doesn't, then Ash has to give blood because he's too scared to.
Well, I'm not though.
So that was just in case you missed it. But the other bet I made was I was looking for the Moto 2 actually of the odds on Pedro Acosta just to see what odds they were given for him to win, but I couldn't find it. But I did see Alex Marquez was 150 to 1 to win the World Championship, and I was like, he's better than that. So I was like, I'll put 20 quid on that, because even if he doesn't win the championship, which I don't think he will, I don't think he'll actually win it, but he's better than 150 to 1. So all he has to do is finish top 3, top 5 a couple of times, and his odds are going to shoot down, and then I can cash out for more. But straight after I placed the bet, the odds went down to 40 to 1 anyway, and I can currently cash out for 40 quid profit. I don't usually bet that much, but this occasion I was like, that's too good to miss. So
I'm
rooting for Alex Marquez this season.
Even if he wins one race and these odds come massive, like imagine he wins the first 3 races and these odds will just like slide, and then you'll get a massive payout.
Oh, it'd be amazing. I'd win $3,000 if he did win the championship.
I also put 20 quid on after you'd done that. I went on to see if there was still 150 to 1, but it actually dropped to 40 to 1. So I'm like, I missed out there. But I actually put 20 quid on as well. I think I get something like 800 quid back if he...
I think he's still better than 40 to 1.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think he's better, but I don't think he's going to win the MotoGP.
Well, the thing is, he's been in the MotoGP Championship now for 3 years. So he's got 3 years' experience in the Premier Class. He's a 2-time world champion. He's on the best bike on the grid. He was in a factory team with that pressure, but now he's in a team where they're not really expected to win. He's got no pressure on him, and he's on the best bike. I think he's going to do really well.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Maybe he will, but I don't think he's going to win. But I think we've done the right thing in putting the money on, because like Sam says, if he wins even just a couple of races, the odds of him, like the payout, they might even just say, oh, well, you on yours, it might be like 500 quid or something. Mine will probably be a lot less, like 100 quid or something, and I'll take that. I don't care.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than now, isn't it? Better than kick up ass, as they say.
You say he's on the best bike. He's on the best manufacturer. It doesn't mean he's on the best bike.
Well, yeah.
I know what you're saying, though. He's on a Ducati, so he's already got a head start.
Yeah, a Ducati, it's the 22 version as well, isn't it? So that's last year's. I mean, the 23 version, it's going to be good, but they're probably, they might still have teething problems with it. Well, that 22 bike was the bike to beat last year.
Marc Marquez always said that his younger brother was better than him. He's always said that. And track records showed that Alex Marquez on the Moto3 and Moto2, he's always needed a year or two to settle before he could go out and win a championship. So, maybe this is his year. Who knows? Because, to be honest...
Might be.
Anybody could, I say anybody in Ducati has got a chance to win it this year. Because I still think Bagnaia, I know at the start of last season he threw it up the road a lot. So, and looking at Quartararo, once he won the championship, once he had that pressure on his shoulders, it got to him. And we're still to see if Bagnaia is going to live with that pressure or whether it's going to cripple him. We don't know. But, yeah, so if Bagnaia goes out and throws it up the road a couple of times, it's anybody's. And Alex Marquez, I suppose, is in that running as much as anybody else. Like you said, decent rider, world champion on a Ducati, got a chance. Yeah, this week also, you conducted a little experiment, Chippy, which I found very interesting, so I did the same. I'm not sure if we mentioned it in the news last week, but it was regarding Rory Skinner and the Moto2 being sponsored by OnlyFans, which, like, as soon as you say OnlyFans, what do you think?
Some lass flicking a bean on a camera.
You think porn, yeah, that's exactly what you think.
What a lovely way to put it.
Yeah, you're not allowed to swear, but it's okay to, intricately describe females
I didn't swear.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, he didn't. Right, so, what was it you did, Chippy?
Well, I asked Nicola, I was like, what would your reaction be if I was on OnlyFans? Because bear in mind, Rory Skinner said, he tweeted something, he was like, follow me for like behind the scenes, sort of with the team and that, and on the track, on my OnlyFans page. And I said to Nicola, I was like, what would you do if you found out I was on OnlyFans following somebody? And straight away she was like, well, you're married, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't... And I then explained about Rory Skinner. But straight away, you automatically think following a girl. You don't think about following
straight away
Rory Skinner. But I mean, if you told your missus that you had an OnlyFans account and you're on there to follow Rory Skinner, I think that just sounds even worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I reckon you'd be following a boy, Chippy.
But I did the same. So you did that, and then I never mentioned it to my wife. Like, I just said to her, how would you feel if I got an OnlyFans account, just to see how you did? And her face was just like, it was just that face she gives, as if to be like, why would you say that? Why would you bring this up? And I was like, I said to her, what's wrong with an OnlyFans account? Do you know what OnlyFans is? And she started to describe what she thought OnlyFans was. But we all think OnlyFans is. It's well, it's not just porn. I know there's people on there do cosplay, and some people like, you know, it's almost like a GoFundMe. You know, like fund me. Like we could have an OnlyFans account as podcasters, or we could have a Patreon
Of course
account.
we could, yeah.
Yeah, we could have a GoFundMe, Patreon, OnlyFans, but OnlyFans has got this stigma. So I explained to my wife what it was, and then I said to her, but realistically, it's got a stigma for being porn, isn't it? It's got that stigma.
Well, yeah.
And anybody out there that's got an OnlyFans account that isn't doing porn, you've got a stigma. That's it. As soon as you say, if you get an OnlyFans account, or if you create for OnlyFans account, everybody automatically thinks, here, like Ash said, you're dressing your taco. Anyway, they're obviously, OnlyFans is obviously, well, I say obviously, I think OnlyFans is trying to break the stigma. I think they're trying to come out and show that they're more than just smut.
They're never going to do that, though. I'm sorry, but it's too far gone now.
I think it is too far gone, to be honest, but yeah. Yeah, we'll probably go.
Well, if they've got a sponsor there and they're pumping money into the pikes, who cares?
But then again, another thing I thought of is if you go onto OnlyFans, like I'll be honest, I'm just a man. That's right. You go on the OnlyFans, you're going on there to follow Rory Skinner, and like every other notification you get, or every other like push notification you get of people trying to get your attention, if half of it's going to be porn, it's only a matter of time before you crack. Let's be honest. And that'll be
it wouldn't take. I don't think it'd take you long to crack, Sam. To be fair.
No, not at all. It wouldn't take me. No, I'm following Rory Skinner. No, not.
Oh, following Rory Skinner. Oh, Lisa Ann.
And imagine you're in the pub and like somebody looks over your shoulder and it's like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just logging on to my OnlyFans account." In the middle of the pub.
Just doing a video in the middle of Weatherspoons.
Yes. Well, it does. Anyway, whatever. It's hard. It's a hard one to wrap your head around, but we'll see.
Can I go back to we were talking about the bets. Chippy put the bet on me about the giving blood and all that.
You can't back out of this.
No, I can't back out of this. But as we obviously discussed this when we were having coffee at work, and your wife was there. And you hadn't told your wife about this bet, had you?
No, I haven't.
No, you hadn't. So I thought, well, I'll tell her about this bet. See how she takes a reaction if you riding a bike. And what was her reaction?
Well, she was like, "You're not doing that. You're not doing that." But
exactly. So you're not going to be able to fulfil your bet now, are you?
Oh, what? Because she says I can't do it, it means I can't do it.
Well,
she wouldn't know if I did do it.
Well, she'd
know if a bike turned up.
Exactly. She's going to know when you're sort of walking through the front door with a full set of levers on and a helmet.
Yeah, but by then it's too late. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission, isn't it?
You know, the funny thing is, she's going to listen back to all this, and then she's going to be like, "Oh, so you're going to ask for forgiveness, are you?"
Well, the thing is, she doesn't normally listen to this, but we just walked the dog earlier, and then we had it on in the car because I got the theme tune in my head. So
write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
I played it in the car. And then I was like, "Oh, turn it off now." She's like, "No, I want to listen to it." And I was like, "Oh, God." I was just trying to think, what have I said? What have I said?
I didn't actually get through all of last week's episode.
I did. It wasn't actually as bad as I remember, but...
That's because Sam did quite a good job of editing it, but...
Yeah, it wasn't the best episode
it was
I've ever done, let's be
very
honest.
boring, wasn't it?
Yes. But I'm editing it this week.
Oh, God, you are, aren't you?
Which means I can put some bongs in on the news.
That's going to wind Sam up so much. Because when he goes back to editing it, he's going to have to put them bongs in, isn't he?
Right, so should we get on with the news?
So we'll start off with some good news. The Northwest 200 will go ahead in 2023 after being previously cancelled. The Motorcycle Union of Ireland Ulster Centre has accepted a lower quote with an insurance company, meaning that road racing, short circuits and trials can take place in Northern Ireland this year. The GoFundMe page that we spoke about a few weeks ago managed to raise just short of £90,000, which has gone towards a new quote. And special thanks has also been given to Derek Keyes' company Euro Auctions for their generous donation. The Northwest 200 will take place in May. The Armoy and Cookstown 100 races are also expected to take place. However, the Tandragee 100 will not run in 2023 because it was due to run next month, and obviously it's not left enough time to get it all set up. So unfortunately that one does miss out, but everything else by the sounds of it is going ahead.
Well, that's great news.
Yeah.
That is really good, isn't
Very
it?
good news.
90 grand as well. £90,000, that's class.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did well.
Really good.
But you think the original quote was 300,000, and it's then they get 90,000, which isn't even a third. And I know they said Derek Keyes gave a donation.
That's 400,000, I think.
Was it 400,000? Well, Derek Keyes gave a donation. I don't know how much he's given. I've not read anything. I've not seen anything. But you think the original quote of 400,000, and it says they've taken a lower quote. It's like, well, why did they not give us that lower quote to begin with? Why was that not the first option?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's an insurance company. They're going to want to try and sponge you for everything you've got, aren't they?
Or maybe there is a higher quote, but it's like this can see us through so far, and then I don't know. But anyway, the good news is it's up and running. The Northwest's going ahead, Cookstown's going ahead, Armoy's going ahead. Yeah, that is good news.
Bad luck Tandragee, but there you go.
Yeah, I heard or I read. I think it was like I was reading a thread on Facebook, like a load of comments, and they were saying that for the Cookstown they've got a year's work of prep to do in the next 6 weeks, so they're going to be busy to get that up and running and get that ready. So all hands on deck, I guess, to get that going. Also over back home, the USBK, the Ulster Superbike Championship, starts in 6 days. I'm not going to go deeply into it because I don't know a lot about it. So that starts at Bishop's Court. I'm going to look deeper into it for next week or the weeks following, but I'd imagine it's just around the short circuits. If anybody wants to correct me in that, they can. But yeah, so something else to look forward to.
Did they put any of the Northwest 200 anything on TV or not?
Yeah, BBC do coverage, but it's not any good. Well, it's all right, but
is it just sort of like highlights?
Well, yeah, like each race you get about 5-10 minutes with each race.
Nah.
But it's just, the cameras there'll be cameras at York Corner, the cameras at like the Metropole or something like that, start and finish.
I think we should go next year. I think we should organise properly to go next year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I've always wanted to go, and do you know what? I've never been to Ireland either. So
I'm pretty dead set on going to Armoy this year. But it's easy for me. It's just 20 minutes away from my house, so I've already spoke to my mum.
Fair enough.
Spoke to my sister, spoke to my mum, got myself a bed sorted. I just need somebody to be kind enough to pick me up at the airport around that time, drop me off again. But anyway, that'll be closer to the time. I'll give you more details than that. Do you want to give us the next news story, Chippy?
Bad news. The Indian MotoGP round is in doubt due to a host of legal and technical complications. Earlier this year, MotoGP safety officers inspected the circuit and found problems that needed to be changed, which will cost £3 to £4 million to get it to MotoGP standard. Basically, a company called JP Infratech Limited. They originally built the track for Formula 1, but they failed to clear financial dues. A company then called YEDA, which stands for Yamuna Expressway Industrial Development Authority, then secured the circuit, but JP Group is supposed to be maintaining it. It is now unclear which party will undertake the work for MotoGP, including extending the runoff areas and some resurfacing.
Great.
So basically that round might not be going ahead.
So they're just having a massive bum fight over money, basically.
Do you know what?
Yeah, of whose responsibility it is.
I get the feeling that it's India and somebody's just waiting for a payout. Somebody's standing there waiting. I'm not doing anything until I get money put in my hand because it's India. They're just waiting for a bribe. That's it. Somebody wants bribe somewhere and they're holding out as long as they can and to get something. That's probably me being very cynical, but that's how I see it. Somebody there is like, well, until I see more money in my hand, I'm not doing anything, and they know they can hold it. They can, because if it's safety issues, they can hold it for ransom and just not happen. And the amount of money that's going to get wasted, the amount of money that's been the preparation into that, and Dorna's going to lose out, and MotoGP's going to lose out, and BT or TN or whatever it is, whatever the app, or BT Sports is going to lose out. Everything's going to lose out. So effectively, it'd probably be better just to fork out some money and make sure that it gets done. So who's gonna benefit? And that's like you said, Ash. They're probably just having a bum fight to see who's going to get the cash.
That's literally it.
That's the way I see it. And the thing is, India needs a MotoGP because there's a massive motorbike population there. Massive. It's the world's largest motorbike.
Royal Enfield population.
It's the world's largest motorbike consumers. Whenever I was over there, like I spent a few months in India a few years ago, and there were just 125 Honda Heroes everywhere. And if you weren't a Honda Hero, you were one of the cool guys riding around, like you said, a Royal Enfield 350. There were bikes everywhere. It's the best way to get around. You know, some people are on their horse, some people are literally riding cows, some people are like in cars, but the most preferred mode of transport was the motorbike. Massive industry there, and it needs a MotoGP. I bet you the people are really excited about it, but once again, massive corporations are holding it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
There you go. Do you need a bong, Chippy?
I need a bong. Honda have asked Calix to supply their chassis for this year. They supplied a aluminium swing arm last season, which Marquez liked and preferred to Honda's carbon fibre one, and he used it for the rest of the season. The chassis won't be available until testing at the end of April or start of May in Jerez, but it shows their desperate need to improve the Honda, as Marc Marquez has been putting pressure on him to improve the bike or risk losing him at the end of 2024.
Well, the thing is, Marc Marquez putting pressure on him, that's all well and good, but where the hell would he go to?
He'd walk into anywhere.
Anyway,
if Marc Marquez became available.
He could walk into anywhere, but I just think he just needs to be a bit more patient and let them improve that Honda.
Well, it sounds like they're getting desperate now by getting Calix to do it. It's a bit embarrassing as well. Surely they should be. Well, if Honda can't do it, they're having to go to somebody else, a German company, to sort it out.
Yeah, that's true.
I would like to take this back to the fact that this is why I think Marc Marquez is a brilliant pilot. Like he's good on a bike, but whenever it comes back to the who's better, Rossi Marquez, I think it's definitely Rossi, because Rossi could build a bike. Rossi could ride for a team and he could give them info and he could build a bike that could be used by other people. Like he could get them to construct a bike that was friendly, easy to use. He built a bike with Yamaha. He went in, won it one season, built a bike that Jorge Lorenzo was able to come in, follow him in, and win the championship. Marc Marquez can ride a bike, but they can't build a bike around him, because they basically just built the fastest bike they could. Marquez read the wheels off it. Everybody else, Carl Crutchlow said it, nobody else can follow Marc Marquez's data. Nobody else knows what to do. Nobody else can ride it like he can. So as soon as Marquez went out the window, Honda were in the weeds. They had no idea where to go with their bike because their number one rider couldn't produce the data. I don't know, I don't understand it, but he couldn't build the bike friendly enough for other people to use. He was just basically, give me the fastest bike you got and I'll ride the wheels off it. So it came round and bit them in the ass, because he didn't have him there to win championships for a couple of years when he was injured, and then they had no decent data to work on because the stuff they were getting from Marquez was just impossible for anybody else to read. Go fast forward 2 years and they're completely lost. They can't build the fastest bike anymore because they don't know what way to go. They don't know how to go. They don't know how to approach it. So they're having to go back a couple of years and start again. And you say like about Marquez being patient. I think Marquez has to be patient, because whenever he got injured, Honda waited 2 years for him to come back. And now they're just going to have to say the same thing. You're going to have to wait for us. The only difference is Marquez wants that next championship. And you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and he's not going to hang around too long. So, he'll end up...
I still think Marquez is better.
What?
I still think Marquez is better than Rossi.
Well, yeah, I know you do, because you're a weirdo, but... yeah, well, let's just see what happens with that. I think Marquez should stick around, though, considering they waited for him.
Yeah, it's like...
But then we all know that Marquez is more about him than his team. So,
not really.
He even admitted it in his documentary.
Nah.
Oh, I think realistically, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, every racer in that track's like that. They all just want to win. None of them's out to make friends. Not really. Not like they are maybe behind the scenes, but as soon as they click the visor down and let the clutch out, they're all in it for themselves. They all want to win.
Well, yeah, I agree with you there, but I think there's some riders that'll be more loyal to the team than some others.
Yeah,
and I don't think so.
Maybe there is. None of them's won 7 championships.
That's true, but then Marquez isn't going to win another one. Anyway, let's go with another bong.
Right, I haven't added this bit of news, so I've only just seen it. Not our normal go-to, but the Motocross Grand Prix started last weekend. 21 rounds kicked off in Patagonia, Argentina. Making his Motocross GP debut in 2021, Fernandez took 3 podiums in 2022, en route to graduate into the factory Team RHC for 2023, aboard the CRF 450R, and won the first round. Monster Energy Yamaha Factory Racing MX2 teams, I don't know how to say this, Jago Geertz?
Let's go with that.
I don't know how to say it.
I don't watch this. Won the Motocross 2. The next round is scheduled for the 26th of March, but as yet it's not confirmed.
Yeah, that was very, very well read, Chippy, but just a little one there. So that's HRC, not RHC.
No.
Did I say? Well, yeah, I meant HRC. Because I was reading it fast.
So I added this in because there's 21 rounds of this. Motocross is a big part of motorbikes. I know none of us watch it, and we're not going to report on it heavily, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. Now, can I also say, I just want to highlight this thing. You two were on this Google Doc all day today, falling out with each other about slagging, wanting to put little remarks in the Google Doc to slag each other off. Oh, he's fat. Oh, he's a pedo. Sticking it all in there. It was like working with 2 children trying to get you to see eye to eye, and now you're telling me, Chippy, that's been on there for a whole day, and you're reading that for the first time. And the amount of times
I haven't seen that before.
The amount of times you've been in that doc this morning just so you can get one over an Ash, and you've not even done your prep and read through it. Oh, that pisses me. I'm working with kids. It's like working with children, you two.
Yeah, but you should know that me and Chippy are like that.
Yeah, we always have been.
We have always been like that ever since. We're just like 2 7-year-old brothers, really.
Yeah, well, I'm just expecting a little bit more. I'm not going to say professionalism because let's be honest, none of us are professional.
Everybody listening, Sam was getting so angry, and you know what? That's why I kept doing it as well, because he just kept getting even more and more angry. And he's just like.
If anybody out there is listening and works on computers, when you log on to a computer that's being shared by other people, you can see their little cursor going up and down the screen. And it was like one cursor was writing it and the next cursor was deleting it all at the same time. It was like watching a computer game from like the 1980s taking place. And I was just like head in hands. I was like, oh my God. And the thing of it was it too, you were messing with my intro. I had wrote that intro out. I'd worked that intro out and I'd tried to use like proper English to make it sound good. Like English terms and make it like one bit flow into the next, and you're there fucking about with it, and I'm like pissed off with my intro. You made me swear.
Yeah, but the thing is, he started it, so there you go.
Children. Anyway, cool. Yeah, we'll maybe go a bit more. I don't know how deep we're going to go into the Motocross World Championship, but it is a World Championship, so I thought it would be worth mentioning.
Definitely worth mentioning. I mean, obviously, it's not a usual go-to. I mean, we could, if we were going to cover all bikes, we'd be here for freaking 4 hours.
Yeah, we would be. But like I said, not going to go balls deep, but it's just worth mentioning. Right. So where are we at now? So we've got
the weekend.
That's it. Sunday today. This time next week. This time next week, the MotoGP will be over. Yeah, or is it a late night showing?
No, it's Portimao next week, so it's like, is it the same time as us? Maybe like an hour either side? I can't remember.
Yeah, so this time next week it'll be over. This time next week we'll know who's won the sprint race. We'll know who's won race 1. Are we calling it race 1 or race 2? Sprint race and race 1? Or sprint race and race? What are we calling it? I don't know. Sprint race and race 2?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll know who's won the sprint race. We'll know who's won the actual race. I don't know what to call it. We'll know who's had a good season, off season. We'll know who's had a bad season, off season, like KTM. And we'll know who needs.
Come on, Alex Marquez. Come on, Alex.
We'll know who needs more testing and who. And we'll know how bad Marquez is going to do this year because he ain't going to win it. None of them. None of the Marquezes is going to win it. Alex Marquez isn't going to win it. Marc Marquez isn't going to win it.
Do you think Alex Marquez is going to outperform Marc Marquez?
I wouldn't be surprised if he does. A, he's on the Ducati. B, I think he's hungrier. And C, Marc Marquez has always maintained that his brother's a better bike rider. He just needs time. So, like, Mark's always said that.
Yeah, but is that him just going, oh, well, he's my brother, I want to make him feel good?
No, he's always said that. And, like, he's always, like, whenever Alex Marquez was struggling in Moto3, Marc Marquez was like, no, he's a good rider, he's better than me. And then he won Moto3. He said the same about Moto2. He was like, he's better than I am, he's a good rider, he just needs time. And then he won Moto2. So you don't win Moto3 and Moto2 championships if you're not a good rider. You know what I mean? But so he's obviously can, you know, pilot a bike. He just yet to be seen if he's going to get his championship.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I don't think either Marquezes will win it. Let's go through, see who we've got. So I know we made our predictions, and our predictions are rock solid. That's the predictions we have for the year. However, now we're closer to it. Does anybody have any other ideas? Still not going to change your prediction. Just wondering if you have any other ideas about who's going to win or what's going to go down. Or
who did I go with in the end? Was it Alex Marquez?
Yeah, you went with Alex Marquez. I went with Fabio Quartararo, and Sam went with
Enea
Bastianini.
Yeah. And none of us went for Francesco Bagnaia, the world champion.
Wow. I don't know. I'm gonna. Do you know what? I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Yamaha's rear wing, because it just looks so ridiculous.
I don't think they're going to go with that.
I mentioned this in the group chat. I was listening to, this is a mini little shout out to another podcast I listen to. I was listening to Paddock Podcast, which is a very good informative podcast. For actual information, it's much better than this one, but they're really dry. They're not as funny as us. So I was listening to them, and they were interviewing somebody that was on the show, and they were just saying about, he just mentioned, it's just a point he made. He said, if you've come up with something, or if you found something, or if you're trying something that you don't want the opposition to know about, what do? He said, well, you put something so ridiculous on your bike that takes all the attention. So he's not saying it did happen, but he's just kind of suggesting that maybe Yamaha found something and they're like, shit, this could change the game, but we don't want people to know. So do something that takes all the attention, like stick a silly rear wing on. And in that way, nobody will be looking at the improvements you've made. Not saying that's what's happened, but he just mentioned it, and I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, let's see if it actually does make a difference. Let's see if it makes a difference to anybody, really, because everybody's got wings on now, haven't they? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Hey-ho.
Say the best looking wings, as far as I'm concerned, is Honda's.
Repsol Honda's. Aprilia's gone for the same, by the looks of it. Just two sort of fins coming off the back.
Yeah, but whether they're the best or not. But to be honest, I think, I've seen other people saying, I think Dorna has to come out and be like, right, you hate to stop this. Like, putting wings onto the bike. Because how far is that going to go?
I say, strip it all back to basics. No wings, just a bike.
Yeah,
with
but
normal
it's prototype, isn't it?
Say again?
Like prototype series. So I think it needs... Just let them do what they want to make the bikes as fast as they can. And
yeah, but what have you...
I'm not a fan of the wings, but I think you shouldn't ban
because
them.
it was Ducati that started it all off, wasn't it?
Yeah, they started with wings
on the
on the
Ducati
side.
bikes. Everyone was like, what is that?
Yeah, they started with wings on the side and trying to get downforce and all.
So Moto2, I can't remember who I picked, to be fair.
You went with Foggia, or Dennis Foggia.
Yeah.
I don't know why you went with him.
I kind of just, because obviously I didn't...
Rookie in the class.
Didn't read the chat, so obviously I had to do it off the cuff, didn't I? So I just sort of...
Well, you don't read the chat.
It shows probably someone that's going to finish near the back.
No. I was busy, yeah, I was busy.
And then he chose Annika Raska in Moto3.
Hey, if she gets 1 point...
I know.
He has to... Well...
She's not going to get 1 point.
Yeah, but like I've already said, your missus has already said in front of me and you, even if you win that bet, you're not allowed to do it.
I will do it.
You won't.
I will.
Anyway. Come on, Ana Carrasco. Moto3. Whee!
I'm not sure. Oh, I picked Pedro Acosta for Moto2.
Right.
Yeah. That's who I wanted, but obviously you took him first.
But after
right?
this, obviously, Sam mentioned a podcast that he was listening to, and the one that I was listening to, obviously, was an interview with Jake Dixon. And now I've listened to that, I want him to win, because he sounds like a really nice lad.
And we all just plug in other podcasts, because Chasing the Racing is probably the best one I've listened to.
Yeah, it was really good this week.
The Alex Lowe's one was brilliant.
Well, it was Pushing the Limits I listened to, and it was really good.
Right there.
Plug everybody else's
Just
podcast.
plug.
Right.
Russell Racing, plug.
We've all plugged the podcast.
Right. So the team changes. Suzuki pulled out of MotoGP end of last year. They've been replaced by Gas, which they haven't really because they're the Tech 3 team. So they've gone from Tech 3 KTM to Gas, which is exactly the same bike anyway. So they haven't really replaced Suzuki. Yamaha lost their satellite team. They've gone to Aprilia, so they'll be RNF Aprilia. That's the changes to the teams. The riders, Enea Bastianini's gone to the factory Ducati team, leaving a seat open at Gresini Racing, which has been taken by Alex Marquez. He's left LCR Honda, which has been now taken by Alex Rins. Pol Espargaro has moved to the Tech 3 Gas team, leaving a seat open at Repsol Honda, which has been taken by Joan Mir. Miguel Oliveira has gone to RNF Aprilia, leaving a seat open at Red Bull KTM, which has been filled by Jack Miller. And Ralph Fernandez has moved to RNF Aprilia, and Augusto Fernandez, the only rookie in the class this year, has gone to the Tech 3 Gas. Darren Binder, he's left and gone to Moto2, and Remy Gardner has gone to World Superbikes. That is all the changes from last year.
So there's only one rookie in there.
Yeah, so he's Rookie of the Year already.
Yeah, he's already Rookie of the Year. He could go out, crash in the first round, break his leg and never go back. Well, not that I want to break his leg, but you know what I mean? And just still be Rookie of the Year. He didn't have to do anything. He just lie in bed. He can walk through with sunglasses on at the start of the race and be like, "Hey, Rookie of the Year, that's right." Just already, Billy Big Bullocks, I'm Rookie of the Year, that's right. I'm going to give me that trophy right now. Yeah,
I hope Alex Rins does well at LCR.
I don't think he will.
I know.
I think it's more the Honda that's going to let him down rather than him not performing.
Yeah, I'm still proper gutted that Suzuki's pulled out. Like, I really like the Suzuki bike. It deserves to be in MotoGP, in my opinion.
Yeah,
such a big manufacturer.
More manufacturers are better.
It really is.
Yeah, it's such a. Well,
Alex Rins on that Suzuki was just. I thought he was great on it. He did really well on it.
Well, it's not only that. You've got 8 Ducatis there. Like,
yeah.
And how many? You've only got you've got Ducati, Bagnaia Ducati, Zarco's Ducati, Luca Marini Ducati,
Bezzecchi,
Bastianini's Ducati, Bezzecchi's Ducati. There's so many Ducatis on there, and it's like just take a few of them off and put.
It
wouldn't be so bad if they weren't just dominating it as well, but they're all so far ahead. Nobody else has got a chance.
Yeah, but like I said, they've not won a championship since 2007, so it's been a long road for Ducati to get here. So let's be honest, they deserve it because they've tried hard to get a bike up to scratch. In my opinion, they should have won it a couple of years ago, but they kept going with, well, it was neither here nor there, but I think they had the bike to win it a couple of years ago, let's just say. I'm not saying they should have won it, but I think they had the bike to win it a couple of years ago. They just had to wait for the right circumstances, the right rider, blah, 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 to turn up. Jorge Lorenzo was good on it. He, as soon as he said he was going to move away from Ducati, or they got rid of him, he went out and won a couple of races. So maybe if he would have had another season, and what was it, 22? He left in 21, was it? If he would have had another season, or was it 2020? I don't know. Anyway, he was on Ducati. Ducati was getting rid of him. Then he went out and won a couple of races. So maybe if Jorge Lorenzo would have had more time, he could have won a championship with them. But they've got the bike. It's up to scratch. They've won a championship. I think they're going to win another one. I think we're just in a Ducati dominance at the minute. And like I mentioned, it's been since 2007, so it's not like they're not due. a good spell.
Yeah.
Who I want to see do well, I've mentioned it before, is Johan Zarco. If he could just even just win a race, just win one race. Johan, win a race, mate. Come on, just win one. We know how good you are. Fantastic rider, Moto2 champion, the back flipper. You know, I want to see one of them more. I don't even know, can he even do a flip anymore? He's such an old man. He was a young man the last time he won a championship. Now he's got a wee Zimmer frame. He's like, oh, I can't race anymore. Not like that. Obviously, he's French, so I'm not going to do a French accent. But, you know, but he doesn't sound like me. But I would love to see Johan Zarco just win a race. That's what I want. I want Bastianini to win the championship, Johan Zarco to win a race, Anna Carrasco to get a point.
I want to see Jake Dixon win a race.
Yeah, that would be good to see.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
And I know we're not American, but I like the fact that in Moto2 there's a couple of American representatives there. We've got Rory Skinner. He's from the UK. Who have we got? The Americans. We've got Joe Roberts. And we got Sean Dillon Kelly, so it's nice to have a couple of Americans.
He's awful.
I didn't say he's any good. I just said he's there. We've got a couple of American representatives, but I just think it's good for the sport that if the Americans can do well, it'll get more popular in America, and I think American popularity can only be good for the sport. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say, because I think about you look at Formula One at the minute. Now, let's be honest. Formula One is shocking. It's so bad.
So boring.
It's so boring. And it did have a bit of, it was getting a bit tasty there a few years ago with Hamilton and Verstappen. But this season, the build-up was like mad. Really good build-up. And there's so much hype to it. And there's so many celebrities going to watch it. And then the race starts and it's absolutely crap. But if MotoGP could become more popular in America, we can get some more of that hype. Yeah, so I'd like to say that's pretty much it for MotoGP, but I just feel like I really need to get hyped for it, because let's be honest, MotoGP is going to be here in 1 week's time. Like I said, this time next week we're going to know who's leading. We're going to know who's at the top of the championship, who's the race winners, who's the big winners from the pre-season, who's the losers. Starting to get pretty hyped to me.
Do you know what? It feels like, obviously, because of last year, for reasons that you two know about, I didn't really have anything to do with anything in the world, because I had stuff going on. So for me, it feels like I haven't watched MotoGP for like years. I didn't even finish watching the last season, so I'm really, really excited for the MotoGP this year.
I can't wait for the sprint races. I am looking forward. I think the sprint races was a massive plus in World Superbikes. I think it was a massive plus in World Superbikes, and I can't wait for them to come into MotoGP. And I generally, in the Superbikes, I always liked the fact there was two races. There was a race, there was always two races, and then they brought in the sprint race, which was even better. So this just brings in another race. I think it's class.
Yeah, I'm going to see what it's like. That's what I'm going to do.
But the thing,
I've sort of come to terms with it.
But
I've come to terms with it, but I'm also just going to be like, right, let's watch a sprint race, see what it's like on the day, see if it cocks up the rest of it or not.
But the reason I like the sprint race is, and the reason I like the idea of the sprint race is, KTM turns up, right? They've had as much testing as everybody else, which isn't that much really. But they turn up and their bike's not performing. And then you've got Ducati turns up, who've been spent the past, like we said, 2007 since the championship. They spent the past 15 years slowly building this bike to get it where it has. Them two teams turn up at the start and finish on the Friday. They get FP1, FP2, FP3, and last year they had FP4. It comes to reason that the team with the biggest budget or the most experience or whatever is going to build the bike. The more time they get, they're going to produce a better bike. The sprint races takes that away from them. The sprint race means that you've got less time to build your bike. You've got less time to get it sorted the way you want it. It's more about get turned up, get the bike sorted as quick as you can, and get it out for the sprint race. And that just might make a more level playing field. Ish.
Yeah.
Apparently they've got special fuel tanks, because it's going to obviously need less fuel. Apparently they've got different fuel tanks to go in for the sprint race. I don't know if that's true, that's just what I've heard. And they'll have to mess about with the suspension. I think all these changes might end up benefiting teams which don't do well in the longer races. I think it's going to shake it up a bit. Be really good, actually.
But with the sprint race, then that's going to be like it is in World Super. So it's going to be before the actual big race. The main race.
It's on the Saturday.
It's on the Saturday, so it's kind of replacing FP4, as in a way.
The only issue with it is when they go all at it, and I know they've obviously been doing it in World Supers and it works or whatever. You might get the riders that you want to succeed, bin it in freaking sprint, and then when it comes to the normal race, then they're like the shit out of luck.
Well, that's part of it, yeah, but that's all part of it's all part of the new game, isn't it? You go to the sprint race, shit bust if you do something that's going to affect your Sunday performance. Well, that's all part of it. Everybody that's getting to the line on the Saturday, they're all in the same boat. So, yeah, that's why it's exciting. That's why it adds more to me. That's why it adds more of an appeal. We get to watch more racing because let's be honest, on a Saturday, I am a bit of, I could quite easily on a Saturday sit down and watch FP1, FP2, FP. I just sat there and watch bikes going round and listen to the BT Sports commentators ramble on and all the facts and figures. But honestly, if there's a race on that Saturday, it's much better. I would rather sit down, even if it's just 10, 12 laps. I would rather sit down and watch a race than watch them just going round in circles.
Ah, so the sprint is happening on the Saturday?
Yes.
Ah, okay. No, do you know what? Now you've said that, class. Let's do it.
Wait, consider.
I did say this in week 1 of the podcast. It was in the news.
Also, Ash,
we spoke about it.
The fact that we're doing a motorbike podcast, if you never once thought, oh, I'll sit down and look at the format and actually learn something about what I'm talking about, or do you just turn up? No, that's exactly what you do. You just turn up here on a Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, whenever we record, and you're like, I'm just gonna fucking wing it. That's it.
I don't just wing it.
You do.
I do not. Oh well, that's your opinion.
Me and Chippy organised things. We're talking about it in the chat. 2 hours later, so what are we doing then? It's like, oh my god, read the bloody chat.
To be fair, I've had a busy week. So
we've all had busy weeks.
I know, but just sometimes I just obviously yesterday at Comic-Con I was not reading the chat whatsoever.
Also, this document that we have, Sam, the shared document. I mean, it's mainly me and you that put stuff in this. I haven't seen anything put in this, apart from insulting me.
No, you started it. I put the Alex Rins in there, and I also put in about you and your anniversary. So it said feel free to add to this. So I did.
Wow.
Yeah, when I said feel free to add, I wanted maybe something constructive, something about motorbikes. Chippy's anniversary. Let's slag him off. He doesn't like people.
He's always trying to slag me off, so why not?
Right. Anyway, yeah, MotoGP's just round the corner. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be 21 rounds. Is that what there is? 21 rounds? Maybe 20 if India doesn't go ahead, but 21 rounds. It's definitely 21, or am I mixing that up with something else?
I'll have to check.
I can't wait. And that
edit this bit out.
You're editing, you dumbass. Anyway, you don't know how to edit it. We'll just keep talking. So Chippy shared. He took a picture of something a couple of days ago and he put it onto our group chat, and it just had week after week after week. There's like MotoGP, British Superbike, World Superbike, and I think the whole way through the season, there's maybe only like 1-2 weeks where there's not any bikes on. I can't wait. Brilliant. Looking forward to it so much. Obviously, MotoGP. Me personally, I look forward to MotoGP the most, but because I know Chippy said that he prefers British Superbikes, he likes to watch it more. I think it's because he can get more involved with British Superbikes, and it seems more personal because it's just round the corner essentially. We can always go to a few British Superbike rounds, but I love watching MotoGP. It's class. I think it just takes me back to when I was a kid. Just the whole spectacle of it. The world stage. That's the place where all the bike riders want to go. That's where you want to be, world champion. I know you won World Superbikes, you're World Superbike champion, that's class, but at the end of the day, you're going to look at it and say, who's greater, Johnny Ray or Marc Marquez? Like, Johnny Ray's won 6 in a row, at the same time Marc Marquez was absolutely destroying everybody in MotoGP. And hands down, everybody's going to say Marc Marquez was a much better rider, because at the end of the day, he won MotoGP and World Superbikes as like a subclass, yeah? So MotoGP's where it's at. MotoGP as the big daddy, as you want to call it that.
Yeah, I agree. The MotoGP is always my favourite to watch as well. But I would say I was I'm sort of, in a way, I'm quite new to BSB because I've always watched MotoGP and World Supers more. Whereas you've always been into British Superbikes more, haven't you, Chippy?
I prefer British Superbike. I think, you know, it's the same as football. Like, I always find lower league football is just better. It's the same with with British Superbikes. Like, it is such good racing because it's like proper racing. And also you're looking at young lads trying to make a name for themselves. You've also got like ex-riders, like when Scott Redding came from MotoGP.
I do like the tracks as well.
Mix.
I do like the tracks of BSB.
The tracks are amazing.
Because Cadwell Park will always be my all-time favourite track.
What football did you say was better?
Lower league.
I was saying lower league football's better. As football, it's so much better than Premier League.
No, but you see, this is because I am so much not a football fan. This is how I know, hands down, I like motorbikes more than football. I could go and I could watch, not very good 15, 16-year-olds ride round on motorbikes and enjoy it. I cannot go to a lower league football game because football is shite. And it's shite enough when it's Premier League. Going and watching a bunch of amateurs run around, big fat bellies, sweating, shouting abuse at each other, like, it's just terrible. I cannot watch lower league football. Absolutely not. So, Chippy, what about the Brits in Moto3? Have you got a rundown?
Yes. So, obviously we haven't got any Brits in MotoGP, not full time anyway. We've got Cal Crutchlow, who's going to be wildcarding for Yamaha. They're still confirming which rounds that'll be. Moto2, we've got Jake Dixon, who finished 6th last year. Sam Lowes, who finished 19th, but yeah, he missed 8 rounds through injury. And Rory Skinner, who finished 8th in BSB last year. I'm really looking forward to seeing him because I really like Rory Skinner, and he's only from down the road in Perth. But he made the showdown in BSB, but only completed 1 race before getting injured and missing the rest of the season. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Once he's found his feet, I think he'll do well.
Once again...
and then
sorry, mate, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, in Moto3, we've got Scott Ogden, who finished 23rd last year, and Josh Watley, who finished 36th.
Scott Ogden was like fastest during testing at one stage, was he not?
Yeah. He's
I know, but
we
say you shouldn't really get too involved in testing and what's happening, but to be fastest means he must be doing something right. So hopefully, even if he can win a race or two, hopefully he can like mount some sort of a challenge. Back to Moto2, Sam Lowes, always a big fan of the Lowes brothers. Always want to see him doing well. I think Sam Lowes has got the talent, whether he's got the bike or not. Whether he can hold it together, because we know that he sometimes can, let his emotions get the best of him. But last year he had a lot of problems, and they weren't all his own fault, I'm going to be honest. He was let down a few times last year, but he does bring his own sort of, not issues, but you know what I mean. He throws it up the road a bit, doesn't he? I was trying
6 times last year.
I was trying to talk around that, but he does throw it up the road a bit. But everybody gets DNFs. It's just that whenever you don't have a DNF, the last thing you need is your bike to let you down. So hopefully I would love to see Sam Lowes win a championship. That would be class, but let's see what happens.
He's done alright in testing. Testing, I think he was like 4th fastest or something. So.
Yeah.
I think if Jake Dixon does well this year, I could see him going to MotoGP next season.
Yeah, if he gets a win, I think the floodgates will open and he'll get a few more wins.
Yeah,
he just needs that first one just to sort of.
I just don't know. I wonder where he'd go to. Do you think he maybe go to KTM?
Oh God, I hope not. But no, he did ride the Yamaha for a round at Silverstone. I think
he did. He was with because Fabio Quartararo was pushing for it. Yeah. He wanted him to ride on it because they're mates, like so.
But the thing is, cool. If Jack Dixon does well in Moto2, I don't want him to step up to MotoGP. I don't want a Brit in MotoGP simply just to have a Brit in MotoGP. I would rather have, if he does well in Moto2, I'd rather him stay in Moto2 and then progress and then next year maybe win the championship. I would rather see a British champion than just see a Brit in MotoGP.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, yeah. I do see what you're saying.
Because
he does better on a bigger bike.
Yeah, but going back to Sam Lowes, whenever he first came into the paddock and he was Moto2, he had a really good season in Moto2, and then he went to MotoGP, and he joined Carl Crutchlow, and who was the other British guy? What was his name? Ginger-haired lad. Forget his name.
Bradley Smith.
Brad Smith, yeah. So
There you go.
he had a really good year, right? He had a really good year in Moto2, and then he moved up into MotoGP, and he went there with Carl Crutchlow, Bradley Smith, and we had all these Brits on there, and ultimately none of them done really anything. Carl Crutchlow won a couple of races, which was fantastic, but Sam Lowes ended up coming back down to Moto2, and then he almost had to start again, you know what I mean? And it's like, if he had just stayed in Moto2 rather than, and I know everybody wants to be in MotoGP, but if he had just stayed in Moto2 another year, another 2 years, he might have won the title. And then he would have got to MotoGP as a champion. And I would rather, even if it's just Moto2, I'd rather see a British champion than just see a Brit in MotoGP for the sake of it. Of course, that's not how Dorna sees it. That's not how the organisers see it. That's not how, you know what I mean? And that's not how the riders see it. They want a Brit in MotoGP because it looks better, more fun.
We also had Scott Reddin in it that season as well. That's 2017. That was.
Oh,
That was the year I went.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
Scott Reddin was at that season. Yeah, it's good, strong, solid, riders all in there. And I mentioned
Jake Dixon does better on a bigger bike. And I think with that, it would be nice to see him go. I see what you're saying though.
Yeah, but if Jake Dixon does well in Moto2, like not win Moto2, you're basically saying if he does well in Moto2, if he does well enough, they'll give him a ride in MotoGP because MotoGP needs a British rider in it. But if he does well in Moto2 but doesn't win the Moto2 championship and then goes to MotoGP, what sort of bike's he going to get? He's not going to get a top factory bike because he's not a Moto2 champion. Even if he was a Moto2 champion, he's not Spanish, so they're not going to give him a top. No, you're laughing. I'm not even saying that to joke. It's true.
Hola.
It's true. They're not going to give him a top level bike. You know, he's not going to get a full factory ride unless he absolutely smashes Moto2. And even then, he might not get a full factory ride because let's be honest, the guys that are doing the deals for 2024 are probably already looking at the Moto2 riders and who they want up. And I would say Jake Dixon's not one of them. So, because you've got Pedro Acosta. If he does well in Moto2, he's straight into MotoGP. You got Aaron Canet. He's been in Moto2 a couple of years. If he does well, he'll be into MotoGP. And you got a couple of Americans in there. And I would say if it came down to having an American or having a Brit, would they rather have an American in MotoGP? Is that going to bring in more money? Is it going to bring in more fans? Is that going to be better for the sport to have an American in there? So if you get any one of them Americans does well, like Joe Roberts, is he going to go do MotoGP if he does well? So yeah. So what sort of bike is Jake Dixon going to get in MotoGP if he does well?
That's what I mean. But maybe KTM or something like that.
He's not going to.
The thing is, all the all the contracts are sorted until 2024. I think there's 2 that run out this year, 2 or 3, like Morbidelli and maybe like Nakagami or something like that. But I'm pretty sure there's no seat really available until 24. But then everybody's contract runs out. It's going to be silly.
Nakagami could slot in there.
Nah, they'll have a Asian rider. They'll go for Iagura, I think, personally.
Yeah. Well, let's just see. Let's see what's going to happen. That's what I hope happens, personally.
You mentioned. You very briefly mentioned British Superbike about was it Rory Skinner went from British Superbike? So
he's brilliant. I love Rory Skinner.
So again, I was listening to something else, and because I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about how at the end of the British Superbike season they have the showdown and how it's all up in the air, and I hadn't really a clue what's going on, but. I was listening to something, and one of the journalists was saying that they can go to British Superbikes can go to the last round, and a rider can go 70 points behind and still technically come out the champion. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that briefly. That's
yeah.
But I still think, I know we're digressing here a little bit from MotoGP. I still think the showdown in British Superbikes just baffles me. I hadn't a clue what.
Yeah. Basically, there's going to be more points available towards the end of the season, and then if you're really far behind, you can still win it. It's just to keep it exciting, I suppose, and it is a good idea, but...
I'm just looking in the Moto E. There's no... Because I thought Bradley Smith might have been in there. He might be wildcarding in Moto E or something, but he's not... There's no Brits in it. I know we've not mentioned Moto E, but I'm just on the app. Look. Yeah. Do you know, just look at it... just looking at MotoGP, and I've mentioned that there's no Brits in MotoGP, there's no Americans in MotoGP, and there's only one Japanese rider in MotoGP as well, Taka Nakagami. I remember years ago watching, well, it was 500 Grand Prix at the time, and there was like a plethora, not so many Brits, but there was a plethora of American riders and Japanese riders, and they always seemed like a big part of the championship. It's just at the minute, it just seems to be just all Spanish. That's it. Just nearly every other rider's Spanish
and Italians.
Which is funny whenever you're...
But even in the lower classes.
Yeah,
sorry.
Just all Spanish, yeah. And then you go back to who's organising it, Dorna, who's a Spanish company, and you just kind of think, what's going on? What's going on there?
I mean, even in the lower classes, there's Ayagura, Somkat Chandra, Sasaki in Moto3. There aren't really many Japanese
Yamanaka
and sort of Asian riders.
Yamanaka in Moto3. Tatsuka Suzuki, Keito Toba. There's more in Moto3, to be honest. There's
I forgot about Toba.
3 in Moto3.
But I don't think any of them are really going to make it. Maybe Sasaki, Ayagura.
5 in Moto3. But even at that, if you take Japanese away from it and just have Asian riders, there's not a lot of Asian riders in it.
No.
But anyway, I just thought I'd highlight that there's not a lot of them, and Australians as well. You take Jack Miller away from it. Take Jack Miller out of the MotoGP Championship. You've no other Australians in there, do you? No other Australians.
No, but no other Australians.
You think about
Joel Kelso in Moto3. He might be New Zealand. I can't remember now.
Let me have a look, and I will tell you.
Well, you got Brad Binder. He's the only South African.
And Darren Binder.
Yeah, but Brad's the only one that's in.
Joe Kelso. Joe Kelso is from Darwin, Australia.
G'day. I love Darwin. It was class.
I never got to Darwin. I was too busy getting stoned on the East Coast, I'll be honest. I got as far as Cairns, and I was like, I don't need to go any further. I just went down the East Coast and I just got high. That was it. That was my experience of Australia. Pissed the whole lot up against the wall. Went to New Zealand, got arrested and got sent home. That was... You can keep that in there. You don't have to edit that. Keep that in there. I don't care.
Well, when I was in Cairns, I was in a hostel. We'd got drunk the night before, so I was hanging out my ass. Went out onto the balcony, and I was spewing over the balcony because I was that hanging out my ass. And I had my phone in my pocket. It must have been about 7:30 in the morning. And there was 2 Aborigine women that were started having a fight in the middle of the street. And I called my mate up, and he's like, "What are you ringing me for?" I was like, "You got to get out here right now. There's a fight happening right underneath me." They were full on hitting each other with flip flops. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, Australia was good. I'd love to go back. I'll go back in a heartbeat. But yeah, so back to my point. No American riders in MotoGP, 1 Australian rider in MotoGP, 1 Japanese rider in MotoGP, no British riders. There's just there's four nationalities that are kind of synonymous with motorsports and motorbike racing. You think of all the American champions, whether it be Superbikes or MotoGP, or 500 Grand Prix. Think of all the American champions there's been, all the Australian champions there's been, all the fantastic Japanese riders, because I'm struggling at the minute to think of a Japanese champion, but I'm sure there probably is one if somebody wants to email in and correct me on that, but I'm struggling to think of one. And then obviously you got to go back to Barry Shane to think of a 500 Grand Prix champion, but you think all the amazing British champions that's in World Superbikes that if they had the right run of it when they were young enough and got into the Grand Prix scene. Anyway, no Brits, no Americans, 1 Japanese rider. He's not going to do anything. Not really. And 1 Australian rider who made a mistake of going to KTM. He's not going to do anything.
No. There's 10 Spanish in MotoGP and 12 in Moto2.
Yeah, it's like a Spanish championship, isn't it?
There is a lot of Spanish in there.
Yeah, there's never actually been a Japanese champion. I never knew that.
Do you know who my favourite Japanese rider ever was? And he absolutely smashed. Not Moto2, it was 250 Grand Prix at the time. His name was Tajiro Kato. Not sure if you remember him, but he raced. Whenever Valentino Rossi was destroying the field on a Honda, Tajiro Kato was destroying the 250 World Championship. Tetsuya Harada, I think, was chasing him for a whole year. Could never get close to him. Kato just round after round. He was so consistent. Smashed it round after round. Won the championship, and he went the 500 Grand Prix. And I thought, this guy's a man to watch. Cato, he's so fast. I had so many high hopes for him. Sad story to that though. He passed away in the MotoGP. He had a crash. I think it was round 4 or 5 that year. He went into the 500 Grand Prix. He had a crash and lost his life, so it didn't work out. But he was a fantastic rider and 250cc rider. He was my favourite Japanese rider, still is. Like to this day, he'll always be my favourite Japanese rider. He was so good, so fast, so consistent, and I remember thinking if somebody can take it, because at the time Valentino Rossi was just destroying the field, and watching him in a 250, I just thought if somebody can take it to Valentino Rossi, it's Tajiro Kato. But then, like I said, the worst happened and he had an accident. But yeah, I think of Japanese riders, I think of him. He was absolutely incredible. But the only Japanese rider they got, the Japanese rider they got in there is Takaki Nakagami. I don't want to be disrespectful to him, but he's not going to win the championship. And I get the feeling he's there.
I like him though.
I don't want to say he's there because he's Japanese, but you kind of feel like Honda wants a Japanese rider to ride Honda, don't they? They're always going to have, or to widen the field, they always want an Asian rider to be riding with Honda, and I get that. I understand that they're a Japanese, Asian company. They're going to want. Yeah. They're going to sell more bikes, and they're going to, if they have an Asian/Japanese rider riding for them. But he's not going to do much, is he? Really?
Well, the thing is, I'm pretty sure Iagura was offered that seat, but he said he wanted another year in Moto2.
And I respect that, because that takes me back to what I was saying about Jack Dixon. Don't walk into MotoGP just to be there. Like, why go there just to make up numbers? If you think, like, if you're in Moto2 and you think, hold on a minute, I genuinely think I can win a championship here. Why wouldn't you stay?
Yeah, right. But how long has Nakagami been with LCR Honda now? It's got to have been a long time. I don't know off the top of my head, but he seems to have been there for ages. But
he hasn't had a race win, has he?
No, but I do like him.
Like one pole position.
He's been close a couple of times, but he never has. He usually ends up throwing up the road.
Yeah, he had that pole position, I remember, and then he threw it up the road on the first lap.
Well, if he ever wins, I'll have a bottle of warm sake to celebrate.
Let's have a look. Yeah, he's had one pole position, no wins, no podiums, no fastest laps.
I bet he's a really nice bloke, though.
He probably is, yeah.
He's got a bit of a Johan Zarco going on that, he's got the talent. You think he's good enough to at least win a race, but it's just for some reason it's just never happened.
I mean, being on the Honda probably doesn't help over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that wouldn't help, but... Yeah. So where the first round's on Portimao.
Yeah.
Portimao. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think Qatar's like second to last race or something.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I can't wait.
It's towards the end.
Danny Pedrosa, wildcarding.
Looking forward to that.
I am. I really am. Even if he is on KTM, I don't care.
I was thinking the other day.
He did well.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, and Danny Pedrosa's name comes into it. Who's the best rider to have been in MotoGP or the 500 Grand Prix Championship and never won a title?
Pedrosa.
It is just Pedrosa.
No, you say it's just Pedrosa. What about Ian, or not Iannone? Is it Iannone? No, Dovizioso. What about
Andrea Dovizioso?
Yeah, Andrea
He was
Dovizioso.
brilliant. He was brilliant as well. He was. I wish I'd seen him win more on that Ducati, to be honest. But
or if you go back, what about Max Biaggi or Carlos Checa? You can't just say Danny Pedrosa because you know him.
I'm sorry, Danny Pedrosa's the king, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I don't really like Max Biaggi that much because he raced against Rossi and I was always a Rossi fan. But he's a really good rider, never to win the 500 Grand Prix. And then he went to World Superbikes and won it. Carlos Checa, really good rider, went to World Superbikes, won it. Yeah. You just straight up want to say Danny Pedrosa.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Pedrosa, I'm afraid.
I think that's because it's the only one you really know of because it's recent. I think that's a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding rather than being a big fan of Danny Pedrosa.
Yeah, but I do like him. Do you know what? I know it was absolutely horrific, that really big off that he had. But the position that he flew through the air just looked amazing. It looked like he was actually still riding the bike because he was flying through the air. I'm
going to be honest, you see in his early MotoGP days, whenever there was Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo and Danny Pedrosa, I thought he was a little twat. Just a face of him. I did. I just thought he looked like a... I just didn't like the look of him, basically. And every time he got beat, I was always like, yeah, good, I'm glad you got beat, Danny. But then, as it progressed and went on and on and on, I thought, actually, he grew on me. You know, but warts grow on you too. He grew on me, and I was like, oh, yeah, I would like to see Danny Pedrosa win a championship, and then it never happened. He probably is one of the best, if not the best rider to ride in the paddock and never win a championship. But I just thought it was an interesting question to ask, because you do have names like Max Biaggi going back. Sete Gibernau, another very good rider who couldn't beat Valentino Rossi. Really good. It is easier to edit, so anybody that's listening, if you've got this far, Chippy's doing the edit this week. It's episode 5, and for reasons that I'm not really going to discuss with you because it's none of your business, but for reasons I can't edit it, but I've the one been editing it so far, and Chippy's going to do it this week. I'm so happy that one of these other two is going to edit and see what it's like to try and siphon out the bullshit that we talk to try and put together.
No, I'm really, really grateful that you do it.
I like the other day how we were, like, me and you were actually talking on WhatsApp. Like, you were replying to my messages, I was replying to your messages, and then I just highlight it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the edit this week because I've got a lot on. And you just went quiet. And I was like, oh, where's he at now? I didn't see that message, that's right.
I totally did that. I
know you did that. I know you did that.
I've seen somebody who's going to have to edit it. It's like, well, I'm going to go about my day.
Yeah, thanks for the support. I know you did.
I know I'll have to do it one day, but there you go.
Right, again, it's another week with no racing. We knew this was going to happen. We knew there was going to be a couple of weeks where there's no racing. Last week, I think we were saved in the 11th hour by realising that Daytona was on. There was a few motorbikes to talk about, something to drag out last week's show. And this week we've got looking forward to MotoGP. But there's only so much we can hype it up, because let's be honest, we're hyped enough. Anybody listening to this podcast is a fan of bikes, and you're most likely hyped enough. So I think it's time to move on. So the next section we got is the Who Am I? Last week's Who Am I? Do you want to? Was it yours, Chippy?
I didn't get it.
Do you want to run through the clues?
Okay. I was born in April 1972 in Wordsley, Staffordshire. I don't know if it's Wordsley or Wardsley. Second clue, I became the first person to lap the Isle of Man mountain course at over 100 miles an hour on an electric motorbike. And the third clue was, I now manage a team that has competed in the BSB paddock and roads.
And
you didn't get it, Ash?
I didn't get it.
I got it. I got it in about... You sent me the clues, and I got it in about 20 minutes. Without Google, by the way. I just had a couple of guesses at it. And the answer was...
Michael Rutter.
We only had one correct answer. It was Big Daza again. I think he's the only one... He's the only one whose fingers aren't broke and can actually write an email. So thanks very much, Dazza, for getting in touch with us again. He keeps proving that the email does work. People just don't want to use it. So he got in touch with us. He gave us the correct answer. He got a shout out in the show. That's how it works. Big Dazza got it right. He caused Metal Rotter. He's got everyone right so far. So he's either really good at this or he's using Google. But I know him, so I know he's really good at it. So he's not using Google at all. I didn't have to use Google for yours, Chippy. I made a guess last week, and I was wrong when we first guessed. I knew I was wrong, but I just had to write something. And then I figured it out. I was like, I know exactly who it is. So I replied. This week, I said to you, do you know who it is? No. I'm like, well, make a guess. Guess somebody then. Just guess something. Oh, I Googled it. I know who it is now. And it's like, well, thanks for guessing. Like, just make an effort. Just guess somebody. The clues are there. Like, take the clues and just guess.
I didn't have a guess either. So.
Anyway. It's my turn to do this week's Who Am I. The last time I did Who Am I picked John Kaczynski, and I think maybe that was a little bit too hard. People were like, wah, 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 that's too hard. I can't think of who that is. So this week I've made it easy. Well, at least I think it's easy. I think the clues give it away straight away as to who this person is. The first one, well, they all do, to be honest, but Big Daz will get it. I know, without a heartbeat, he'll get it. All right, this week's Who Am I? Born on the 11th of January 1962 in Hawick, Scotland.
Okay.
Right? First winning the Formula 2 in 1987, he went on to win the TT a total of 11 times. In March 2010, he was inducted into the Scottish Sports Hall of Fame.
11 times TT.
Yeah. Right, if you think you know it, Ash, write it in the group chat, and I'll let you know if you're right or not. Chippy's got it. I think he's Googled it. But anybody...
I have Googled it.
But anybody listening at home or in their car or walking your dog or wherever you're at, if you're listening to this and you think you know the answer, I'll run through it again. Born on the 11th of July 1962 in Hawick, Scotland. First winning with the Formula 2 in 1987. I went on to win the TT a total of 11 times. In March 2010, I was inducted into the Scottish Sports Hall of Fame. If you think you know who that is, you can email us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. You can leave an answer, leave your name if you want, leave a fake name. If you leave your name, we can speak out in the show that we do with Big Dazza. And you don't need to just leave an answer. You can write an answer, ask us a question, leave feedback. Easy enough done. It's just podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. Please get in touch. Like I said before, there is quite a lot of effort goes into putting this podcast out, and if we could have people interact with us to let us know that you're listening, that would be fantastic. We've put some wind behind our sails and keep us going. This is going to go out on YouTube. It's the Big Bad Bike Show. You can contact us there as well. It's on Twitter, or we're on Twitter, Big Bad BS, it's all one word. We're on Instagram, it's the Big Bad BS with a hyphen between each word. And we're on Facebook, it's just the Big Bad Bike Show. You can go and follow us on Facebook with our official Facebook page. My Twitter is @SoberGasano. It's pretty much just, it's a carbon copy of our Big Bad BS Twitter, to be honest. It's all bikes. And Chippy's on Twitter as well. It's @C for, well, Chippy, _Ballard90. That's @C_Ballard90. And Ash Haw is on Instagram as the Up North Biker.
Hell yeah.
And that's how you can get in contact with us, how you can get in contact with the show. Like I said before, if you think you know the answer to Who Am I, or you want to get in contact and leave any feedback or ask a question or just generally just talk some bollocks to us and we can mention you in the show, that would be greatly appreciated. Get in touch. And like again, if you are listening to this on YouTube and you've made it this far, congratulations, well done. You're probably the only one. Hit like, share, notification bell and all that jazz and you'll never miss an episode. That's pretty much all I've got to ramble on about, unless any of you guys have any other little points to make before we go. Or if you want to highlight anything, this is your last chance, because the next time we speak to each other, the MotoGP is going to have happened. Like I said, we're going to know who's winning. We're going to have a race winner. We're going to have a championship leader.
Just want Alex Marquez to win so I can win some money, really.
Yes, and Anna Carrasco not to score a point.
I tell you, if Anna Carrasco just gets 1 point, everybody out there listening, just focus all your energy on Anna Carrasco. Just come on, just 1 point, it would be fantastic. I am going to drive to Chippy's house, and I am going to personally watch him do that CBT. I'll follow him round. I'm just going to follow him. I'm going to follow him round on my bike, my little YBR125. I'm going to follow him round and make sure he does that CBT. And I'll take your wife out. I'll take her to a spa day. I'll pay for it. I'll get her nails done. I'll pamper her. I'll just distract her.
Did you just say you pump her?
I said I will pamper. I will pamper her. Let's be honest. Whenever Chippy's wife sees me, she's going to want to pump me. No, anyway. I will treat your wife to a day out to distract her so you can go and do your CBT. Alright? That's what's going to happen. We just need Anna Carrasco to win that race. Or not win the race, get a point. Can't wait. I can't wait at the MotoGP.
Is it 10th? We should have to get 10th,
15th
just to get 1 point.
To get 1 point.
15th.
Oh, she's easily going to do that.
She didn't last year.
Well, you say that. No, I think... Did she get 16th last year? 19th, I think, was her highest finish, and she got up twice.
Nah, a couple of people have come off. Obviously, I don't want people to come off, but a couple of people will.
Is there anything else on next week, or is it just the MotoGP? There's no world Superbikes.
No.
Obviously,
I'll just double check.
Obviously, like I said, closer to home, the Ulster Superbikes is on next week at Bishop's Court. You can follow that on Facebook or have a look at that if you're interested. Obviously, like we round up the good news for Northwest. Can't wait. And Armoy, I'm going to try and get home to Armoy. But anyway, nothing else from me. Nothing else from Chippy. Nothing else from Ash. So
nope.
I guess there's nothing else for us to do but bid our goodbyes. Goodbye.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Veg cream, aisle 5.